Tired of trying to shop for your friends and family? Let us help you find the perfect gift that will make anyone in your family happy. Just log on to www.swiftpenguincreations.com today to find the perfect Christmas gift. Order now and save 10% with code Hoosier500.
Yesterday live from the racing capital of the world, Robert Malechka, the double iRacing Indy 500 winner, confirmed himself as the pole winner for the fourth running of the PRI Hoosier 500. Today, we lock the rest of the field in. Welcome to Swift Penguin Creations Bump Day, live on PRI channels. Its final hour primetime qualifying coverage, live on RaceBot TV. Hi folks, Arjuna Kankipati, joined alongside once again by Gary Godso, by Andrew Wood, as we head into an enthralling 48 minutes that lie in front of us. The field, thousands splitting them as we stand right now. Gary, there were 101 qualification attempts yesterday. We've seen about another 50 or so today, and there's been plenty of drama as chopping and changing on that entry list we have seen.
We got two drivers with identical times. Technically, one of them's on the bubble, but basically any driver out there knows that they can beat any one of the two slower times right now. They're going to represent, and I think we're going to have some other drivers yank their times right away and not even worry about trying to be bumped. They are going to try to race their way in right now. And, you know, there's been a number of times where even the best drivers had to start from the back row. Since 1980, Sage Karam started from the back row 4 times, and Buddy Lazier, former IndyCar Series champion and Indy 500 winner, started from the back row 4 times. There's nothing against it. It's just making the field. It's all that counts today.
And hopefully you stay out of trouble. Andrew, let's talk about the format for those that maybe missed yesterday's Swift Penguins Creations Pole Day, where, like I mentioned, we locked in one driver, the pole sitter, Rob Malechka, that watches all this madness unfold with an air of comfortability. Everyone else has to now watch and wait. However, one key point: those that set their time on day one start in front of those that set their time on day number 2. And so, Andrew, there have been plenty of drivers inside of the front 15 or so that have had no work to do today.
Yes, Arjuna, that's correct. Everybody is vulnerable from second on back. So anybody that runs a faster time today than yesterday is on the chopping block to get pushed out of the back of the field. But typically you'll see that not a lot of drivers knock about 30 cars out of the grid. It could be possible if conditions are correct, but we have seen already that there have been a bunch of drivers on that bubble or just under the bubble, as we saw yesterday how close it was. Some drivers have made the field and have started to push some drivers out, which gets a lot of heartache for those guys that thought that they were safe yesterday, but kind of knew that there was a chance that they get pushed out of the bottom of the field. So today was a very, very interesting day. We have 149 attempts at qualifying, which is incredible for this series.
And we'll see how many more we get inside of this final hour. The word from race control is the queue currently comprises of 5 machines, and so they don't have to commit to going out on track. However, once you leave pit lane, you withdraw your previous time, you commit to the run being stricken from the record, and off and away you go. It will be Trevor Falls that is queued up first. Second will be Noah Hindley, before the 140 of Jim Herrick, the 99 of Craig Forsyth, and Ryan Carey, as I think Andrew mentioned slightly earlier, is expected to be heading out as well. But for those that did not catch any of yesterday's qualifying action, a slightly different qualifying format than the traditional 4-lap run on iRacing. You do a full out lap, you do an additional warm-up lap, and then off and away for your 4-lap run you go, mimicking the challenges of the real world. And the challenge in particular, Andrew, is managing the right rear temperature, because after 4 laps, 10 miles here, it's screaming in agony.
You know what's interesting is I was talking to Tanner this morning on the broadcast about the use of the apron or the access road there on your outlap. it seems that's kind of a new thing this year. Not a lot of drivers have used it in the past, but I think that's something that is actually keeping the tires a little more in check. You're not putting a lot of stress and strain on there, going a little slower around that apron corner, and it's actually helping these drivers keep their right rear tire a little more fresh for the 4-lap run. It's something I've never seen before. I can't explain it. I don't understand why that's the case. But if we're watching these drivers do it, everybody at this point has now figured that portion out. So I think it's given a little bit more access for some guys to push that qualifying run a little more.
And we talked about it plenty yesterday, but there's drama for these contenders who have spent their Saturday evening, their Sunday thrashing on their qualifying setup, while the Powerslide Motorsports teammates that currently lock out the front 6 positions on the starting formation have already been working on race setup, even with a big change in the car behavior expected on Tuesday. Hybrid being added, lots more weight to contend with, a very different scenario than what they have got to deal with right now. If you're wondering what a good opening lap is going to be, well, the benchmark time set by Brian Carey for the time being averages out across the 4 laps at a 39.482. First lap on the board was a 39.308, and lap after lap, about a 1/10 of a second fall off is what we expect. So as Trevor Fallis punches in lap number 1, it will be, as Race Control enters it onto the board, a 39.584. So already slightly off. And why is that important? Well, here on Super Sunday, Gary, if someone's trending in the wrong direction, Race Control has the right to wave their run off and pull the next car in queue out onto track.
Yeah, time is precious. And if they're going to find that someone's trending in the wrong direction, if it was yesterday, it would complete the run today. They just don't have the time for it, so they will get pulled off, and they will send the next car out immediately. And there is another car already waiting in line for them to decide on Fallis' run here.
Lap 2 crosses the beam. Will it be consistent fall off? That's often what you're looking for. It's not that bad, actually. Only a couple of hundredths, Andrew.
There's just that couple of hundredths fall off there, and that's actually looking like a decent time, but it's still just a little too slow to make that top 33 run there. So you need a little bit of a magic sort of pulling something out here on lap 3 in order to do it.
Yeah.
Well, Race Control hasn't waved him off just yet, and that's probably the most important thing. You'll get a chance to at least finish this run. That might be a factor later on as we get closer.
Yeah, there it goes.
Although, right on cue, waved off, and the next car in queue will get their command, Gary.
Yeah, so Kerry and Carmichael, identical times. They're still sitting on the bubble, and there have been a lot of IndyCar drivers over the course of their career to sit on that bubble for a long time. I think most recently, I think it was the Pippa Manwatch a couple years ago, where they she was on the bubble for so long and no one could go up and get her. And then she would get bumped and she would go back in and sit on the bubble again. So we're going to see right now next. We got Hindley coming up next and see if he could take a shot at trying to better 227.951.
And, I mean, Brian Carey is in the queue, but does not have to go unless he absolutely has to. That is the reality of qualifying here. Noah Hindley gets the command to head off and away, and so in the Sim Racing Club at Purdue, 52 is next up in queue. And there was a notable improvement by one of the Sim Racing Club at Purdue machines earlier on in the day. And sometimes, Andrew, when you find that little bit of, it's not always speed in the setup, but sometimes it's just comfort. It lets you go back out there and be that much confident, more confident as Hindley heads out.
I think Brian Carey was feeling a little bit wounded after his first run, where he kind of messed up the warm-up lap situation. So he put a banker lap in. I think Brian is feeling like he could be up more towards the same speeds as, say, a Henry Bennett up in 17th or so. So I think you're going to see him go out on track for sure.
It's not like he doesn't have access to the same setups that the pole sitter has.
Yes, of course. So it's a matter of just nerves and everything. And we were talking about this yesterday, that it's not just a matter of taking a fast car and going out there and doing it. It's a matter of getting everything mentally set up and everything. So I think that you're going to see him go out for sure. He's not just going to sit there in the pit lane and watch times go out. So let's see how this qualifying run goes here.
maybe I shouldn't say this, Henry might not appreciate it, but he resubscribed to iRacing last night. So limited practice, punches in a time. That's still good enough for 17th. Now, remember, he starts behind everybody else that's qualified on day number 1, but still in the show. That is all that is going to matter. Hindley's on the first of the time lapse right now as he sweeps back out towards turn 3. And if you're new to the PRI Hoosier 500, well, we equalize the playing field. And what do we mean by that? Well, everybody gets identical weather conditions, and I bet there are some real-world drivers that wish they could do that and click the freeze weather button, Gary. Wind's the same, track temperature's the same. There's no factor other than your driving, really.
Hey, and you're right, real-world drivers would love that, because here in Indianapolis, this place is so geographically so big, and both you guys have been to the track. It looks so small on TV, but it's a whole different story when you walk into the place. It's mammoth. It's huge. You can see it from the air when you're landing from the airport. It is that big. The temperature and weather in one corner of the racetrack could be completely different than it is in the other side of the racetrack. It could be raining in turn 4, and it could be just cloudy in turn 1.
Hopefully not raining in our qualifying runs, that's for sure. Hindley's on his final attempt, by the way, so it is kind of do or die, and lap number 1 punches in at a 39.385, so somewhat competitive, although missing a couple of hundredths. Ricky Paz, who's 30th on the board, his first lap was a 39.349, amongst the slowest of lap number 1s. Andrew, you talked yesterday a lot about the hands. What have you been seeing from 52 as he washes up through the short chute between 3 and 4?
Well, he's listening to my advice, and he's keeping those hands as straight as possible, but you might have seen on the broadcast there that he might have just scraped the turn 2 wall there, and that is going for it. That is something that we've seen time and time again with these guys. They're using every little bit of track. Yes, just a little bit. I saw a spark there. Yep. I don't know if he actually touched the wall, but that's a spark. So he is using all the track. That's what we want to see for a qualifying session. So I think Hindley is just giving every possible thing he can. And did you say this was his final run or his second run?
Final run of the 3 qualifying attempts you are given.
Yeah, this does not surprise me at all. This is a Hail Mary sort of situation. I love what I'm seeing out of Noah Hindley. Let's see what lap 3 shows here.
And this means now 2.5 miles left to go. Not waved off yet, but that third lap is where the trend's coming back in his direction. 5.81 is not the worst of the fall-offs, but he's slow and scrubbing out through 1 and 2.
That's definitely going to be... It's so hard to hold on to the 4th lap. That right rear tire is screaming right now, and if we had seen any of that looseness for the previous laps, it's only going to compound from here. So Hindley is really going to need some sort of... Wow, he was so close to the wall in turn 3 there, and man, oh man, these guys are really going for it.
He has bailed on the attempt, and I think he realized at that point that too much understeer through 3 and 4 on the final time, but the Sim Racing Club at Purdue have had some valiant efforts, and the reality is, Gary, this is one of the most competitive fields that I think that the event rather, has ever seen, and so being that close to the cut line, you can still take plenty from that.
Look, there are of course, you know, and Andrew and I know about the iRacing IndyCar community. There's also just the whole sim racing community as a whole. I'm just by talking with the iRacing IndyCar community, they are up on the wheel. The nerves are real. I mean, this is all a simulation, but the nerves are real. There are some people that are really sweating this out. And I love the fact that we got people from outside the community that are taking a hack at this thing. And, you know, to have a wild card like a Purdue Sim Club racer in the lineup, and it's solidly in the lineup. I think Nick Lucci is going to probably make this field. That is good. And it gives us something on race day to watch, because we want to see how these guys that we don't really know for the community do, and that's going to be a big story point come Sunday when the field of 33 takes the green flag.
I think that it's very interesting that we were talking about Kyle Clemworth yesterday, Gary, right? That he was kind of the marker for where these guys are going to be bumping into the field, guys and girls both bumping into this field, and Kyle Clemworth right now sitting on the tower in 29th. He's the 29th fastest car here, so it's only a matter of 4 or 5 more cars bumping in here, and we could see a whole different scenario.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out when Gary talks about IndyCar community, I think he's talking about those that we see regularly in the iRacing official fixed open setup races and and all the other community events. It's great to see that there are so many more people that still have so much passion for the iRacing IndyCar, even if they're not part of that regular community, and this is what the event is really about. Jim Herrick makes his first run of the 2025 PRI Hoosier 500 qualifying weekends in his 40 Raceware SRT machine. Wanted to give a big thank you to Jim and to 40 Raceware for their support of the event, because one of the coolest things that our pole sitter has is not just the best view of the house, as Jim's going to get the run underway here officially, but the pole ring and pole award presented by 40 Raceware, Gary. Just another little bit of something that Ryan and Tanner, the organizers of the Hoosier 500, have worked to bring that makes this event that little bit more special.
There's only one of us in the lineup that can say they have a real Indy 500 ring, and that's Adam Blocker when he was an engineer with Ilmore over on the Penske team when Newgarden won. But now you actually kind of get your own piece of kind of being an Indy 500 champion. Not only do you get the pole sitter's ring if you win the pole, but maybe if there's another finger that is on the hand of Malechka there, that he could put another ring on. If he wins the race, he'll get a winner's ring too. So that's pretty cool, very cool.
Good first lap from Jim Herrick, puts him right in the ballpark, you would say. The best part for him, Andrew, is he's got 3 runs. So this is the first. If things don't go according to plan, 2 more opportunities with 30 minutes left to go before the final run of the day.
I'm kind of scanning through the pack right now that's in the race, and I don't see any 40 cars that are
Fowler.
No. Fowler is right at the bottom there. So that's where Herrick is really going to be eyeballing his lap times there. So if he could be very, very close to Fowler, he could find himself in just on his very first try, which would be absolutely incredible. If we're monitoring how these runs have gone for these folks, we would say that the first lap is almost a banker of sorts. Go out there, see how the car feels, try it out, and then maybe on your second run, go out there and really, really send it. But these times are trending right now really, really close to where he could possibly put himself right by where Chris Fowler is.
And I'm looking through the run report. It's Carl Clenworth's run, lap 2 and 3, only 9,000 slower. You can see just how consistent he was halfway through. Will Jim Herrick be able to do something similar? Average starting to trend in the wrong direction. A 5.83 on lap 3, and he heads up towards the wall between the short chute. And now just 2 more corners left to go, Gary.
He's hanging on right now. It's a lap, 3-lap average at 2:28.037. He needs to just be faster than the 2:27.951. He comes through the corner. I don't know if he scrubbed the wall there, but here he is. We're going to see if he's going to make the field off of 4 down the main straights.
Well, if he didn't hit the wall, he scrubbed plenty of speed, that's for sure. Run 1 on the weekend for Herrick. And lap 4, 39.725. I think he lost a lot more speed than he was thinking. But again, Andrew, 2 more bites at this one, and it does seem as though he's got a car capable if he can put the 4 laps together.
I think that you're absolutely right, Arjuna. There is definitely a car that is able to make the race there. I was watching the onboard. Everything looked pretty solid. There were a couple of mistakes here and there, but if he is able to slide the all 4 corners, get right down on the apex, slide the car down there, wash out, I think Jim Herrick can make it if he does 2 more attempts.
Next up will be, well, Herrick's teammate Craig Forsyth in the 40 Raceware number 99. And Forsyth, who's been in this field, the race field, as an alternate before, he knows just how crucial it sometimes can be to sit in 34th, 35th, and 36th, where guess what? He sits right now, but it looks like he intends to pull the run and head out onto track. After him, Brian Carey in queue, pair of Canadians, then Lucas Lodato, the 6 of Mason Mitchum, and Jim Herrick has rejoined the queue. No surprise there. 30 minutes left to go How many runs do we really have left this weekend, guys?
Who we got left in the queue here?
I think you could fit about, I would say, 10 more runs in comfortably.
Okay.
And that's with a wave off or two, I think. Just full runs, maybe 7 or 8 right now. But I think we'll see a couple of wave offs closer to the end, especially as we're getting more towards guys that could possibly bump their way into the field here. So I think we're going to see about 7 or 8 more.
And again, wave off is something that is going to be increasingly aggressive from Race Control. If they see the speed dropping off, they don't think you've got a chance. They are within their rights to bring you back to pit lane. This is not Craig Forsyth getting ready to head to pit lane. This is him cutting the distance on the track, minimizing the wear on the Firestone tires, and he'll build up the speed to make sure he's at 200 miles an hour once he strikes the yard of bricks, and from that point forward cannot drop below as the warm-up lap gets underway. Pulling the time from 36, Gary, indicates to me Craig also believes that car's quick enough to make the big show.
I think Craig knows what Craig's been around for in the IndyCar iRacing community for a very, very long time. He's one of the admins over at the Area 51 IndyCar series. He's won many races. He has a good online presence. He's a general good guy. He's known him as long as I've known him, as long as I've been in the community myself. He's very savvy, and he's got to believe that. Now, I think he may have mentioned in one of on the forums that he was down on speed. He doesn't feel like he has the pace there, but I think he needs to feel good that Jim put up some good laps, but Fowler's in the field, and I'm willing to bet that he's not too far off. His setup's not too far from what Fowler was using.
At the most, you'll have slight differences for driver comfort, but not much more than that. Gets close to the wall for a moment, but that's the game you play here at Indianapolis in qualifying. How close do you risk it? Every time you turn that wheel in, you pitch the car in, not knowing if it's going to rotate enough, if you'll hit the wall. If it will rotate too much, you'll hit the wall a different way. All sorts of challenges to conquer here at the Speedway. Forsyth on his final attempt. It is do or die for him as well. Lap 1 complete in the 9940 Racewear machine. And as he bobbles out through the short chute, it's a decent first lap, Andrew.
I think right now we're looking at the bubble time. We're looking at that 3-4 region, maybe like a 3-4, 3-5 that could really do it. So that's a really great first lap. If he could do around a 4-2 or a 4-3, he's on the right track, I believe. So let's see what happens.
Let's ride and watch the hands out through 4. This fascinating Cosworth spec steering wheel with all the buttons and hybrid information needed coming on Tuesday with all that extra functionality. Lap 2 in the books, halfway through, and a bit of understeer, but tidy out through that opening corner. Not much fall off on lap 2, but he's going to need a Carl Clenworth-esque lap 3 to arrest any fall off here, and it only gets more difficult, Gary, heading on to the final lap.
The tires are screaming. We've talked about that. A 39.344 on the first lap, 39.451 on the second lap, 228.441 for the 2-lap average. Getting ready to cross the yard of bricks one more time. White flag in the air this time for the attempt. One more lap to go to decide if he can be in the front in the fastest 33.
What's lap 3? 39.529. So he has arrested the fall off compared to some of the others on the final row, but he is going to need a monster of a final lap, and the pressure is on, and this is when white knuckle the wheel, turn the car in, the anti-roll bar, the weight jacker, those in-car tools at your disposal that make sure it sits down in the corner, squats off, and powers to the line. Forsyth for the final time this weekend.
I think there's a shot. I liked how he went through turn 2 and turn 4. Let's see.
Let's see what the time will be.
4.6.
39.646. Oh, he's just on the wrong side. He ends up in 36th once again.
So Kerry and Carmichael dodge another bullet.
I actually really liked how Forsyth handled the car on lap 4. I think he pinched the exit of turn 4 coming to his last lap just a teeny tiny bit, which gave him a good lap 3, but it set him up for lap 4 that didn't really have the straight line speed entering turn 1, and I think that might be what did it there. The hands looked perfect. Everything he was doing with turning in and tracking out to the exit of the corner, I think looked amazing. But I think there was just a little bit of a pinch in a couple of those corners on those last 2 laps. So if he could tidy that up, and again, we're talking about less than 100th, that would put him into the race, or just over 100th rather. And it's just those tiny little micro turns, and it's so easy to say it here on the broadcast, but when you're in the car, you're just like, I just need to get this done. And yeah, Craig is so close. I think 40 has something if they could put the 4 laps together.
Well, not surprisingly, Brian Carey chooses not to withdraw his time from 33rd on the board, and so now Lucas Lodato instead gets the call up to head out onto track. It is also his final attempt of the weekend as he gets ready to set out in his World Sim Racing Esports, Additive Racing, Next Level Racing, and Abruzzi partnered number 30. We've seen World Sim Racing increasingly take steps into the IndyCar ranks, including in last year's, as it was then called, Open Wheels 500. But Lucas, one of just a few representatives from the team, because, well, team manager Daniel Ferguson withdrew from the race a week or so ago. Why? Well, because he's got engaged and has other priorities. So a big congratulations to Daniel, who I'm sure, after the IMSA Esports Championship is wrapped up, is now watching to see how Lucas will get on. Andrew, yet another one choosing to run that access road.
That's definitely something that we're very, very much not used to. I was talking to Tanner about this morning. He asked me why people are doing it. I said, I have no idea. I think it might just be a right rear saber if you're just off the throttle a little bit, trying to maintain that speed around the shorter part of the track there. But I also wonder if one person did it, so everyone's going to do it, right?
Monkey see, monkey do.
That is absolutely correct. I'm intrigued, and I want to know more about it. It's probably too late to ask someone about it now, but I'm curious to see why everyone is taking that.
Let me ask you this, Andrew. I mean, it's making a smaller radius around the place. Can I put just a tick less fuel in there and travel the bottom and make that outlap, make my car a little bit lighter than somebody else? I know we're talking about ounces now.
Yes, teaspoons of fuel at a time. You might be right, Gary. I think that might be something that we're considering here for a reason why some folks have decided to do this. But yeah, it's worked out because everyone that's taken the access road that is in the top 33 has done it successfully. So I think that's something to take into next year's race. I was telling Tanner earlier, there's always something every year that's brand new that someone never has tried before, and here we are.
Well,
wait till Tuesday.
So less than 25 minutes ago, I did notice that in the Powerslide Discord earlier today, they were talking about it using the access road, reducing the right rear tire temperature by as much as about 10 Fahrenheit, which doesn't sound like a lot, but again, the margins that we are talking about, oh so fine. Lucas Lodato, the fastest first lap we've seen in quite a while, as a 39.306 is punched in. Steady out through turns 1 and 2, but not using all the track on exit there as he exits turn 2 on lap 2, Gary.
Good opening lap. Lodato does have a lot of experience and has a lot of pace. A 2:28.973 opener. And he's coming now to make his run half complete. Just like that. And, he's looking at lap 2 here.
Lap 2, which is kind of where race control would start to wave you off. I don't think there's any worries about that. It is continuing to look very steady. To go back to the talk of hands, 39.404, trending in the right direction. I would even argue, Andrew, this is trending in the top 25 speed-wise.
Absolutely, Arjuna. We're looking, I was watching some lap times earlier today, and like a 34 and then a 42, 340, 420 sort of thing is something that's going to put you on the bubble. But 306, 404, that's really trending in a great direction. Let's just hope that it holds for end of lap 3 and the entirety of lap 4.
And looking at Lucas's other times, he is by far been able to pick up some speed relative to those other runs. So as lap 3 comes in, let's watch from the shot as he's maybe half a tire's width away from the wall. 5.30 on lap number 3. It is starting to fall off. He's got to hold on, Gary.
228.349 3-lap average. He just has 2 more turns to negotiate on the north end of the racetrack. Now he's through 4, down to the white line, making that corner as tight as possible, coming off the corner, down the main straight at the yard of bricks. And what does he check in as? Does he get his way back into the field?
It will be 4.79. He slots into 31st, and Brian Carey is bumped.
That's a great effort right there. And you saw it from lap 1 and lap 2. Those were very, very fast times. I actually was watching that lap 4, and I thought the car was completely falling apart on the north side of the track there. In turn 3 and 4, coming to the end of the lap, I was like, oh no, that right rear is completely given up. He didn't take the wall down in turn 3, and he just had to make turn 4 and get down the straightaway, and it was just enough. I think it could have been a little faster if the car was a little more put together at the end of lap 4 there, but that was just enough to get into the field. I think Lucas is looking at a very, very good chance he stays in this race.
He would need 3 drivers to go quicker, and with 18 minutes to go, maybe 5 full runs at most remaining. It's Mason Mitchum up next in the Votive Racing number 6, representing VRL. After him will be Jim Herrick once again, his second run of the night before the 50 of Sheridan Wade heads out there. Brian Carey due up after that before last car scheduled in the queue is Nate Field. I feel like, Gary, there's still room for maybe 1-2 runs after that if someone else needs to jump back in.
At 20, what we got left on the timer? 18 minutes before we hear the final gun. Let's not look past Mitchum. I just know Mitchum from when I've worked some of his leagues, the Votive Indy Oval Series. He actually won their Indy 500. Kind of a complicated finish, but he won it, meaning that he brought the car home. He's got some pace. He's qualified at the front of a lot of the Indy Oval Series, the official iRacing Indy Oval Series here lately. So we know he has fixed setup pace. I'm sure he has some setups that he's borrowing from some other teams that are kind of working together. We'll see if he gets something put together here, but I know he has fixed setup pace. Does he have open setup pace now?
And sometimes the difference between open setups and fixed can be how loose they are, but if you can handle a loose car, Andrew, it's not necessarily a problem.
That is definitely something to account for, but too loose and you scrub a lot of time, so that's definitely something to consider as well. So loose is fast for sure, but you have to have a general I don't want to say grippiness on the looseness. You want to have it controlled. Controlled is probably the better term I want to use there.
Steady hand so far, but just winding up the car. Delara IR18 release for another 10 miles of qualifying action. Get below the white line. Hear the engine note stall out for a second as they navigate through the short chute, but speed will build up once more. This is Mitchum's second attempt as well, so he could be one of those drivers, Gary, that jumps back into the queue after this one. Who knows? Although, having said that, Carl Clenworth, 29th in speed right now, has just entered the queue. I think making sure he can put himself in position if anything is needed.
That's a better safe than sorry approach there. Get yourself in. Last thing you want to do is not be in line and time runs out and you get bumped. 39.353 on the first lap.
Works out as a 3.52 as entered by Race Control.
Okay.
15 minutes left to go. And I've got a Christian Horner knee wiggle going on right now. I can only imagine what it must be like for some of these drivers. Imagine Brian Carey. Just watch Lucas Lodato punch his way into the field, into the big show. And now Brian's got to go out and do the same potentially. Mason's had a steady second lap as well. Not flashy by any means, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Not the worst first lap. Lap number 2 needs to see a solid lack of fall off. 39.4 will be the target. It's a 4.58, Andrew.
I actually, these times aren't looking so bad at the moment. A 3.4 and a 4.2 is probably what you're looking for right now. Just a couple of ticks underneath where you want to be, but if you run just a little bit under on lap 1, 2, and 3, if your lap 4 is very solid, if you're feeling like your car is very much connected, it's possible you could just squeeze in, but it needs to be a perfect lap 4 at this point.
And perfect is what you aim for, but is oh so difficult to achieve. Breaks the art of bricks, and off and away for one final trip around the speedway on this particular run. Lap 3, a 5.28. So not in danger of being waved off right now, but it is going to need another one of those miracle lap 4s. He doesn't track out all the way to the wall. It's not slow, that's for sure, when you're cresting 230 miles an hour, tipping the car into a corner. It's not slow, but the smallest of differences have the biggest of impacts here. And with 33 drivers locked into next week's running of the PRI Hoosier 500, coverage to kick off at 11 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, Mason Mitchum finishes up the run. And there was plenty of fall off through those final couple of corners, I feel. 39.883, and he's not even in the top 40, Gary.
Yeah, it's a fall off. A little disappointed. He kind of knew it too. As soon as he crossed the start-finish line, just breaks it and immediately goes to a reset, and then he's back in the pits, maybe to get it back in line. But it's a 4-lap average of 227.530, and that's almost a half mile per hour slower than the bubble speed. And he'll have to go back and I don't know, just kind of Noah Siegel it and just take out that last bit of drag if there's anything else left in the wings to take out. Other than that, you're playing with tire pressure and dampers, and that's when it starts getting very technical.
Time is winding down, though, and Mason Mitchum has re-entered the qualifying queue as it will be Jim Herrick next up to head out onto track. You're watching the PRI Hoosier 500 qualifying weekend. It is Swift Penguins Creations Bump Day. Final runs coming up next. A big thank you to the PRI team for coming on board to support the PRI Hoosier 500, and we are excited to be a part of next weekend's festivities. As the racing industry descends on Indianapolis, we'll have coverage on Sunday of this great race. Pre-race festivities included, but don't forget on P1 Broadcasting the day before, we've got plenty of pre-race festivities, including the return of the Veterans 100. Arjuna Kankipati alongside of Gary Godso and Andrew Wood. Jim Herrick is out for a second qualifying attempt inside of 30 minutes. And Andrew, how much adrenaline will still be in his system as he heads out on the warm-up lap?
Oh, it's going to be endless, Arjuna, for sure. He's just done one session about 15, 20 minutes ago, so he's got a good feeling of what the car is doing. For most of his run there, maybe he could take a couple more risks on the second run. That's kind of how this all comes into effect, right? You have 3 runs that you got to do before the next 10 minutes and 55 seconds. So first run, just get comfortable. Second run, push it a little bit more, see if the car has it. And then maybe on the third run, you just really go for it if you do not make the field. So the adrenaline, at least for the next 10 minutes or so, is going to be off the charts.
Great look from atop the pagoda. See the golf course in the foreground. Totally not distracting to see someone slice a tee shot directly onto the track surface during qualifying weekend. Steady lap, though, from Jim Herrick. And again, we saw the speed, we saw the potential in the car on the first run. And so maybe, yes, full of adrenaline and shaking, but warmed up slightly. That might be the most important factor as lap 1 officially now complete. We wait for the time to be official from race control. 39.332. He's trending in the right direction.
That's a good start. It is definitely a good start. But you mentioned the golf course. It's like, getting off on that first hole, getting a good start. Now you got to keep that positive momentum and go to the second hole. And then that's where you can't kind of fall behind. And everyone's going to fall behind on the second lap. It's just how much Can you manage that? So he's already off of 4, and let's see what the fall off is and see if he can still trend and then keep that 228 average worth something right now.
Somehow already 5 miles complete in the blink of an eye. The toughest set of corners in all of motorsport. Average now up to a 4:07. That's a big drop off on lap number 2, and he washes up almost into the wall on lap number 3.
Coming off that turn 2, there was a little too much slide, and I think that might have made the right rear tire a little bit angry. Let's see if he can kind of hold on for lap 3 here, but I think that you might have killed a little bit of your tire and your lap time with that little bit of slide there. He kept it off the wall, but it's going to hurt your lap time for sure.
And this is where the danger of keeping all 3 runs in reserve for the final hour might limit Jim's ability to go back out there for one final attempt. He may not have time to rejoin the queue and head back out there. This is where he got caught out last time. Given how big a moment I thought it was, lap 3, really not that big a fall off, all things considered.
No, he's still going fast enough on a 3-lap average to get in. We're going to see how he gets through these next set of corners. He's at a 228.077, easy to be faster than a 227.951 off the corner.
Looks good.
Try to aim the thing. Yeah, looks good. Let's see what he does.
There's a little too much scrub off 1 and 2. I don't think it's going to be enough.
So maybe some scrub, but tidy. Out of the wall and looking for a 4.82 to make the show. 6.91, and it is indeed not enough.
Too much scrub off in that last run. He did a 227.665 his last time. He did 227.74. He's getting better. That's the good thing. Now we're running out of time.
So Sheridan Wade is going to get their 3rd and final attempt of qualifying weekend. They used, I think, both yesterday, as I just review the sheet in front of me. So they've had plenty of time to try and find some more speed, but they will pull a time that currently has them 44th on the tower. 7 minutes to go. After this, Brian Carey is next in queue. He is currently outside looking in. After him, the 57 of Nate Fields. And then a couple more if time permits. But off and away for Sheridan Wade. And Gary, I feel like right now, everybody, no matter if you're already qualified in, if you're still trying to find some speed, everybody is watching, biting their fingernails, and waiting to see what happens.
They want this next 7 minutes to go over as fast as like the last 4 minutes I wanted the IU game to end last night. They want it over with now because they want to celebrate and just know that they made this field or not in the next couple minutes here and before they can make their next set of plans. So I'm picking my fingers here at 6 minutes and 47 seconds left. I'm nervous for these guys. This is simulated racing, but the drama is real.
Yeah, drama. Just ask me about how things look sometimes behind the scenes in the world of sim racing. Comment in chat, by the way, someone ran out of gas, and Rob Malechka, our pole sitter, made the comment that you have to account for sometimes your pit stall is in a different position depending on when you run in qualifying. All these unique intricacies, Andrew, that sometimes you don't necessarily think about.
You definitely want to have enough fuel to do your entire run, of course. And if you're sitting in a pit box to be called out on track that is much farther down pit lane, you're burning fuel as you're going. And if you perhaps forget to clutch or something like that, that can have a big effect. So that's the pit boxes are definitely a factor when it comes to this.
Clutch and coast.
Which for so long has been the only way to save on iRacing before the fuel maps introduced a couple of years ago really started to be powerful. So Sheridan Wade, a relatively fast warm-up lap. And why do I mention that? Well, potentially you take a bit of life out of your tires. A lot of people want to stay as close to the 200-mile-an-hour minimum speed as possible until you get to a point at which you release the engine, go up through the gears, and get full power from the well, Honda or Chevrolet units from underneath you, because both manufacturers have come on board in partnership once again with the PRI Hoosier 500, and drivers have the choice if they're representing Honda, if they're Team Chevrolet instead. Lap 1 for Sheridan Wade in the books, and it is a 39.321. Not bad indeed, Gary.
Yeah, that's faster than Herrick's and Mitchum's. A little bit slower Lodato. We just saw Lodato get back in the field, so we're trending in the right position. But you talked about that opening lap. Sometimes just the nerves are there, and you're just like, let's send it. Caution to the wind. Let's just go. Let's get it over with. And he maybe he's taking that approach. But there's also a lot to say about momentum with these cars and keeping that momentum up. Isn't that right, Andrew?
That is definitely something that is correct there. And I was going to make a comment that these last couple of drivers, they could be pulled off the track at any time right now. But Sheridan Wade is running a competitive top 33 time here. So another thing I wanted to quickly just mention off the top, we'll talk about it maybe after Sheridan's done, but that 33rd spot prize is well in contention right now. Any of these drivers that are going right now could be on that last spot winning of the prize there that we were talking about yesterday.
The Oil and Gas Safety Supply On the Bubble Award presented to the driver who qualifies in the 33rd position for the race. Sheridan Wade has just got one more lap to go. A bit more of a fall off on that third lap though, and it's going to need a lot of work to wrestle things back together. Up high out of turn 2, and we talked about this earlier. The fact that we've got fixed weather conditions means the drivers aren't guessing which way the wind's going every time they go into a corner. Can you imagine just how much more difficult it would be to judge, looking off for a reference if a flag's flying differently in the breeze as you enter a corner at 230 odd miles an hour? It is a wild experience. Sheridan Wade's PRI Hoosier 500 qualifying weekend is done and dusted. 39.699. The last lap drops him out of contention.
So close. A 4-lap average of 227.842. And unfortunately, he's done. Now we get to see Brian Carey kind of do his version of the Shigeaki Hattori run that we saw back in the years past of Shigeaki just got in a car and he had to send it, and he was late in the session and he had no choice and he just had to send it. He was clipping the grass and everything and put it into the field. There is no shame about starting 33rd here at the 500. Tom Steve has done it. Former Winston Cup champion Tim Richmond has started at 33rd. Two-time Formula One champion Emerson Fittipaldi has started 33rd. Gordon Johncock has started 33rd. Eddie Cheever started 33rd. Brian Herta has started 33rd. A number of great drivers have started 33rd. There is no shame in it. It is all about the glory of getting in.
And so this, in my opinion, is about to be the final run of qualifying weekend. I'm not expecting the Powerslide Motorsports machine to be waved off, given that the car itself has got speed. It's on Brian Carey to deliver. He's made the PRI Hoosier 500 field twice previously, so by no means a stranger to these sort of situations, but I think it's fair to say the nerves were slightly getting to him. His previous best qualifying effort, Andrew, before this, 18th position. He will take 33rd, you best believe.
That is definitely, yeah. I'm only laughing now because you're the very, very last car to qualify and it's do or die. It's not like, I can get back in line again and do something in the next 10 minutes or so. It's kind of everybody's watching you right now. I was mentioning yesterday of everyone watching you. Literally everybody on the broadcast, in the pit lane, on the field is watching you, especially Noah Carmichael sitting there in that 33rd spot. He's like, am I going to make this race or am I not going to make this race? And Brian Carey just has to do 16 corners perfectly and not do anything that's too risky, but also very safe at the same time.
If I'm reading the PRI digital program correctly, which I highly recommend you visit the Hoosier 500 website, thehoosier500.com. Click the buttons at the top to get to the digital program. Carey has attempted qualifying twice, has made the field twice. Can he continue the 100% streak? What we do know, though, is as he breaks the yard of bricks and officially gets the run underway, the clock is going to tick down to strike 0, and so this is it. It is the final qualifying run in the 2025 PRI Hoosier 500. It is Swift Penguins creation bump day, and Brian Carey has got the weight of the entire PRI Hoosier 500 audience watching as out through turn 3, a little bit close to the wall, but most importantly, Gary, steady, smooth, survives lap number 1.
And the virtual gun has gone off and sounded. And yeah, he's doing all he can do. First lap in the books, a 2:8.9. I'm just reminded of that run that Graham Rahal tried to do. That's the fastest lap of this session, by the way. But I'm reminded of that run that Graham Rahal tried to put in there at the last minute a couple of years ago, and it just wasn't enough. And just the pain he was in when he got out of that car, knowing that there was no shot of him. And eventually he got into the 500, but there was no shot of him at that point getting into the race and actually missing the race. It is crushing, and he does not want to feel that right now. Brian is well on his way right now to get back in there. Let's see if he gets halfway through this run.
5 miles down, 5 to go. A flying first lap. Lap 2, 39.403. It is still quick, but now it's putting him in the benchmark of that final row. Needs to arrest the fall off as he heads down the back straightaway for the penultimate time. And Andrew, even though he's got the same setup as those that have qualified up front, extracting speed from a car is not always as easy as it seems. He's making it look relatively steady so far.
There's a lot of speed in this car right now, and actually, turn 1 on lap 3, there was a little bit dicey. I think he managed to salvage it, but it was very, very, very close to being up against the wall. But I think he's managing to just squeak into this 33rd spot here, should he make it. And yeah, very, very clean south side of the track. Now down the back straightaway, just got 2 more corners to go for knowing if Brian Carey is going to make this race or not.
He did slightly miss the apex at 1. He slightly missed the apex at 3, but you don't have to get down below the white line. Make whatever line works for you. Brian Carey, the final run on Swift Penguins Creation Bump Day here for the PRI Hoosier 500. What will it be? Is it the big show or not? 39.
Yes.
Wait for it. 39, 6.419, 4.61 the average. Gary, he makes the field in 26th.
And this is the thrill of victory right here. He's taking a little extra time as he goes to the infield road course. Noah Carmichael, I feel crushed for him. He put in over 500 laps, probably now with all the extra laps he did, 600 laps of practice to try to get into this thing, was excited about it. He's going to miss his opportunity just by the narrowest of all margins. But the other guy that's out there feeling the thrill of victory here is Chris Fowler. He made the field. He's going to be the slowest car, but he is now in, and our field of 33 is set. And Brian Carey's part of it. Carmichael, unfortunately, isn't, and Fowler survives.
Let's catch up with some of the protagonists. Andrew Wood is standing by with Lucas Lodato after that monster run, puts him 32nd in the speed charts.
Lucas, congratulations for making that field of 33. How did your last run go compared to your previous 2 runs, and what was going through your mind as you were finishing lap 3 and 4 there?
I was freaking terrified is what was going on. It was horrible. I mean, the run was good, obviously, made the field. It was my biggest lap 1 of the whole week, like even in prep and everything. And that definitely carried me. But yeah, my heart was racing and it was in my throat, man. It was horrible. But to end up where I expected to be was nice, right where I thought I would end up. So.
Well, congratulations on Bump Day. It's definitely something to be proud of, and it's really, really cool to see some of these privateer folks that aren't really so much in tune to the Indy 500 events make it. So now we turn to the race, and we have an update with the hybrid coming next week. Is there anything that you're thinking about, or are you just going to kind of roll with the punches since everyone's on the same playing field and see how it goes, or are you already prepared for what changes might come as you turn to the race set now?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, we'll really just have to probably end up starting with the fixed set and going from there, or maybe if it's a more simple translation or more simple than we think it's going to be, then we can just take stuff that we may have around. But yeah, I think a lot of it's going to be learning about how to deploy the hybrid and how to make sure you're maximizing everything properly. But yeah, we should be okay. Obviously, being the only one from the team to make the field, Fergie had to pull out because he, had to go off and get engaged rather than focus on this, obviously. And Nathan wasn't able to make another run, but him and Hamilton Acapulco was able to help us out during the week. So I'm sure he'll be a huge help to us as we get prepped for the race too, and I'll have the team behind me.
Lucas Lodato on bump day making the field of 33. Great job today, Lucas, and we'll have to see how it goes on race day.
Always great to chat with them. And Gary, could you hear the adrenaline still pulsing through his voice as he answered that first question?
Now he has the excitement adrenaline. Like, God, I'm in this thing. And he probably did a couple of fist bumps and everything. And he's wanting to dance around his computer room, around his rig. And he's probably going to have a hard time going to sleep tonight. I could say that. But the work really doesn't. He's going to. It's like IU says. We're going to celebrate this tonight, and then we're going to get to work tomorrow. We're going to get to work tomorrow, but it's going to be really different work tomorrow because we're not going to be able to use real race setups tomorrow and tomorrow's practice. We won't actually be able to do that until Shakedown Saturday. So tomorrow might just be practicing green flag pit stops and stuff like that tomorrow. But it's now the work begins because it's always traditionally those that bump their way into the field have the least amount of practice put into a race setup. Now the focus with all these guys that worked on everything to get into the field today, now the focus turns to the race, and they got to really wait even longer because we get the new car on Tuesday. But everyone's in the same boat.
Let's grab a quick chat with Brian Carey as well, who ends up being the final qualifier for the 2025 PRI Hoosier 500. And Brian, how are you feeling?
I'm doing okay right now, Arjuna. This has been I haven't been really in the competitive IndyCar space for a while. I think the last real competitive race I did was open wheels. So, yeah, I am starting to come down a little bit. Had a little bit of the shakes before. As soon as Lucas put that time down, I was watching that, and he was like thousandths off my run. Lap 1, lap 2, he was a little faster in the last couple laps, and I knew I had the speed. I knew, like, our setup, we've blocked out the first 2 rows, so I knew the speed was there, but this guy right here, can I put down 4 laps and keep it consistent? I was not sure until I crossed the line, so I am very relieved.
Well, you maintain a 100% qualifying record for the Hoosier 500. Did take you all 3 runs, and now you can focus a bit on race day. Strength in numbers will help, but starting at the back, what are you expecting? How are you going to navigate your way through 500 miles on Sunday next week?
Well, that's the beauty, Arjuna. We've got a new car coming on Tuesday, so the whole way this thing might race might be totally different. I know the aero maps and things are probably going to be similar enough that it's not going to be that much different, but really, I mean, most of our guys are up front. Me and Henry kind of a little bit more towards the back. I'm just really looking forward just to seeing what we can do here. Like, we've got speed. I'm not the speed guy here. Like, I'm not an oval speed guy, so I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to try to go off strategy. I'm looking for, this is going to be fun. It's going to be a fun event, and I'm just happy to be back.
Well, glad to have you, Brian. Congratulations on the do or die run with the pressure building. We'll let you go and let the heart rate settle, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Awesome. Thanks, Arjuna.
Brian Carey looking like the final driver we'll get a chance to grab a chat with. And so let's quickly just remind everyone that we have got plenty more to come this week. It starts tomorrow with final practice, although that's going to be an interesting final practice given that it's before the big updates that we've talked plenty about. Then Shakedown Saturday. Join Gary and the team on P1 Broadcasting for a action-packed day of excitement for the big race itself. And Gary, I know you'll be with us for race day, but how excited are you for the Shakedown itself?
Hey, it's going to be a big event. We're going to see how, I'm not really quite sure how they're going to do the pit stop competition, but we'll get a pit stop competition. We'll get the final practice. So basically it's carb day, right? Without the concert. So we're going to get final practice. We're going to get the pit stop competition, and then we're going to throw in a 100-mile IL-15 race, the old Indy, the new, actually, Indy next car. And we're going to, those guys, if you've seen some of those previous real world Freedom 100s, the Veterans 100 here. Expect much of that. 3 wide, 4 wide, photo finish coming to the end. Don't want to miss it next Saturday.
But before that, let's quickly run you down through the lineup. And this is with the order resolve. So those that set times on day 1 will line up in front of those that set their times on day number 2. And so our 40 Racewear Pole Award winner, grabbing the ring and sim racing gloves awarded to the fastest driver at the end of pole day, it's the iRacing Indy 500 champ, Rob Malechka, with a slender margin over Alex Russell and Phil Krause's teammates, all of whom win the Dallara Front Row Award for 2025. Jason Brophy will slot into 4th inside of Alex van der Sande and Hugo Olsen, his Power Slide teammates, while Jacob Oster, the first non-Power Slide driver, has got Jeff Drake, but then Team i5G's Alexis Newsom for company on row number 3. Josh Chin, a former iRacing Indy 500 winner, has got Adam Blocker and Chad Simpson alongside on row 4, while Ryan Campbell, Christian Steele, and Matt Taylor find themselves in the heart of the pack. AJ Musselman, Andrew Marquez, and Brendan Lichtenberg, all staples of the iRacing IndyCar community, share a row with one another, while continuing to cycle down through the starting formation. Blaze Andrich, Seb Alexander, Dylan Freckleton, Ty Keeler, Casey Pavlones, Carl Clenworth, Ricky Paz, and then Henry Bennett. All in front of Purdue's own Nick Lodgke, Matt Hollowbo, Brian Carey, Jacob Bradley, Lucas Lodato, and Chris Fowler, the driver on the bubble, and our oil and gas safety supply on the bubble award winner. For our team at the PRI Hoosier 500, we thank you for joining us here on what has been a quite remarkable Swift Penguins Creations bump day and across of the entire qualifying weekend. For Andrew Wood and for Gary Godso, our Junior Kanky Party signing off. Can't wait to see you on December the 14th live on the PRI channels when we go racing for the PRI Hoosier 500. Coverage to kick off at 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you there for all the pre-race festivities.